Hey gamers, welcome to the PTGC podcast. My name is Gerard, and joining me are my co-hosts Gio and Mike. Today's episode is brought about because of a game that's come out recently that I've been playing and would like to talk about as a more broad theme: gacha games. The game that came out recently is called Wandering Waves, also known as the Genshin Impact killer. But with that being said, I know we recently made a podcast about addictions, and I wanted to talk to you guys about gacha games. Do you guys have any idea what a gacha game is?
No.
I was like, I'll take silence as a no. They weren't very hyped about the question. Well, gacha games, for you guys and the audience, if you do not know, are just games that revolve around a mobile game system for making purchases. So things that you would be able to do in the game is usually locked behind stamina or energy, and that little requirement there makes it sure that you come back after you refill. But the rest of the game, you can purchase items to change your gameplay. So an example is like in Genshin Impact, you would buy loot boxes necessarily in order to get new characters to play the game with. This follows like other aspects, so like weapons and things like that. But that is just the general system of a gacha game. You buy loot boxes, you get new stuff that you can play the game with, but there's an energy system that like slows you down or stops you so you can't play consistently. What are you guys' thoughts about just what I've said so far? We'll start with Gio. Gio, tell me. Gacha games, buying stuff. What do you think? Loot boxes.
Kind of like you said with we talked about addiction and stuff like that. You just kind of see what we were talking about, that topic on dark patterns and that method that they're using for those games. And the gambling becomes a very addictive thing because, I think you said something on that one episode too about how like dope releases dopamine kind of deal, like a gratification for getting rewarded.
Alexa, turn the light to 100%.
I'm not a fan of that type of game. I mean, maybe that's probably why I don't play them. I mean, I've played some like them, but I don't know. Something always got me away from them because I started being like, you start spending a little too much money, and I'm like, that's not why I play a game. It's not to spend money.
What about you, Mike?
I mean, you buy games, you spend money to play the game.
That is a good retort. But Mike, what about you? About the gacha system?
Consistently.
I think every game has something like that. In every game where you pay money for end game stuff, for instant gratification, of course, like that. Or is it like the pay to win model? You buy something, you spend money, have to spend money in a game to enhance your character, whatever you may be. It's always gonna be in there. People are always gonna buy it because they want something instant. They want something to have an edge over other people. You could even look at WoW when you're buying gold for GPs. People have so much gold, spending money in a game in that aspect. So I'm not surprised that, each game has like a gacha game where, you spend money to get cosmetics or anything that's just gonna enhance. I feel like it's become common, and they leave it up to the individual. They want to buy it or not, which most case, if they're young, they want to buy the coolest stuff. So I don't know. It's always gonna be there. I don't know if it's the right thing to do or wrong thing. I think they need to maybe manage it better, or I don't know. I
wouldn't say manage it better. I just feel like it's one thing to have gacha elements in the game, like kind of like League, how they do it, and other games with buying cosmetics. But it's a whole nother thing to make almost the entire game.
Yeah, but it's an option.
All different elements are revolve around gacha.
It's a choice.
It's technically a choice. I say technically as in that is the only way to get characters, is to go through that the loot box system. So you can technically play like the main character is usually what's given to you, and you get enough like playing the game to do free rolls, like free loot boxes, but the only way to get new characters is through that system.
But we choose to play the game.
Okay, well, if you want to be very
Yeah,
I just want
that was a weak argument.
I wanted to throw it out there because it is still a choice.
yes,
Like
yes,
if I know that that's the type of game mode, well, I'm not gonna play it.
yes.
Yeah,
I understand. I do understand the aspect that people do probably want to play it, and it seems fun, and then having to spend money. I get it. I guess I can get it, but like for me personally, if I have to freaking buy something in game to keep getting more characters or whatever the case may be, it's a turn off. I'm not gonna play, and that's a choice. Like I said, it's always up to choice. And I know, like I said, I know our previous episode, addiction is serious, and people can get addicted many ways. They may just have a bit addictive personality. So I would just tell them not to stay away from this game because, But at the end of the day, it's still a choice.
I would just simply say, and then you can go in, Gerard, is that the only issue I have with the games is not that it's, like you said, it's a choice to play the game, but they're exploiting every part of the game to put some part of gacha element into the game. You know what I mean? Like there's some kind of money spent to loot, reward yourself kind of deal. It's like weird because it's like, at least in League, you can unlock characters through regular
gameplay and things like that.
Yeah, gameplay and currency stuff. This game, he's saying you literally can't get them without going through those loot boxes. Yeah, you might get some free ones, but if you don't get the characters you want out of the free ones, you gotta buy. You just gotta buy. There's no other way. There's no other in-game currency that you could build up and, I guess, get characters that way.
There isn't. Oh no, it's the same thing. So like, it's a good example is the WoW token. You can buy a WoW token or use an in-game gold to buy the WoW token. That's what gacha games do as well. You can use in-game currencies that you farm to buy the like resource you need to do the loot, or you could just pay for the loot anyway.
Pay to win with it.
Yes, yeah. It's 100% a pay to win. Now, here's the thing, and I know as like most of you are console gamers and PC gamers, the gacha element is really a mobile game system. It is designed for or came from mobile games. Because in mobile games, it's all about doing your activities in burst. So the energy system is to make sure you don't consecutively play and then just play out the content. You are slowed down by that energy system as a time gate. And you will play the game. And if you wanted more stuff or more time or speed up for convenience, you would use money. A good example is Candy Crush. Candy Crush has that mentality. You can keep doing the puzzles, but each puzzle gives you energy, and once you run out of energy, you can't do any more puzzles. But some people, especially like the moms or people like the stay-at-home people or students or like that, was like, I have like a few bucks lying around. I'll pay $2 to refresh my stamina or whatever, just so I can continue playing the game longer. They've taken that element and just slammed it into games that are just like formally not mobile games. Technically speaking, you can play, and an example that I'm going to bring up often is Genshin Impact. You can play Genshin Impact on a phone. It just also has been translated to PC that you can play it on, and on consoles as well. So those elements, those mobile game elements, are the reason for gacha games, and all they've done is elevate the game that surrounds that system. And is it good? No, it's definitely a dark pattern. It's playing on dopamine rushes and mostly impulse buying. And FOMO mostly. FOMO is probably the main thing because they do it in when you roll, it's always on a certain selection. It's out of a loot table, and they change that loot table ever so often. And in games like Genshin Impact and the new one that's came out, Wuthering Waves, they're called banners. That FOMO is the main reason, and that majority of gacha games make so much money because those games make a lot of money. And
I mean, they gotta get money from somewhere, you know. If it's like a free to play type of game, then yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of like, well, you can't there's no really free to play per se,
Mm-hmm.
but they have to make a money somewhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the route that they're gonna take, then they're gonna do it. They're gonna have to, you know. There's always a line, you know, of how far you're willing to pay for a game. Like, you know, for League, it's free to play. And I invested a lot of money into skins and cosmetics where it doesn't really affect the game, but it was to my, you know, choice and, you know, how far I'm willing to spend in the game. And well, I spent a lot, so don't spend no more since you kind of get free skins here and there. There's like little loopholes around it, but other than that, like, it's really up to the person and to kind of like have that self control, I would say. Um, Depending on how you know, you're liking the game. If you do like the game a lot, then, you know, you could, if you have some money to spend, maybe you can. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong about spending money in a game. You can. It's just being able to like know your limits and know your budget, know your money.
Well, I think that's kind of what Gerard is more stating, is that the problem is not everybody's like you and myself and Gerard, where we've spent a good chunk of money, like on League, for instance, over a 12-year span. There's people that spend what we spend in 12 years in a month. And these games kind of exploit that because there's some people that just can't control themselves. And then we have the video game addictions, and we got the people. And I know that's, to an extent, like, you can argue that's really not the developer's fault that you can't control yourself. But at the same time, you're literally exploiting that at every turn you can in that game, in a gotcha game. It's basically like every opportunity they can find to make money, they use it. And for somebody that can't control themselves well, it's just that's why I say it's a dark pattern, really.
And I know Mike brought this up earlier, but I did want to ask you guys collectively, with these dark patterns, a lot of parents have looked at, reached out, and argued that gotcha games are, and I would agree with them, but are gambling in a sorts and should not be presented or played by children, as they are not the legal age for gambling. So, what are your guys' opinions on gotcha games and gambling as a whole for minors, minors, basically?
I mean, gambling, you can't even play in a casino until you're like 21.
Mhm.
So, and plus, I think that's like really hard to manage because, you know, a friend of friend has that game. You could be playing off to them. You know, not all parents are gonna be, you know, teaching their kids the same way. Everybody has their own way, and everybody has their own struggles and their own, you know, situations. So I feel like it's hard to kind of like control for us. Like, you know, if my parents were strict of games, you know, which they weren't, and Gio wasn't, hypothetically saying wasn't, I could easily just go to Gio and be like, all right, let's play, or let's do, like, you know, let's put some money. Like, there's ways behind it where you wouldn't be able to let your parents find out. Unless you have a guilty conscience, then yeah, it may work. But like I said, it's really upon the individual. If they're meant to want to play a game like that and want to spend money, I feel like they'll find a way, even if their parents would, you know, probably stop them.
What about you, Gio?
I would honestly agree that it is a form of gambling, and realistically, I didn't think about it that way until you said it, because it's all loot box systems, so you don't have really, it's not like you're purchasing something. At least when you purchase a skin, you know you're getting that skin. This is a random loot bin that you're going to get either a skin, a character, whatever the case may be. Or they have different type of loot boxes that are, this, you buy this loot box for a mystery character, you buy this loot box for a mystery skin, stuff like that. If that's how they're doing it, then you are gambling at every turn, and it's because it's using your money, and that's the thing that separates it from gambling. Is that if you were doing it with just in-game currency that you don't have to purchase, that you just earn in the game, then yes, it's gambling, but you're not gambling with physical money, and you're using your currency when you put it into the game. So that makes it gambling because now you're using real money. This ain't Monopoly money. You're using real money. So I agree with that, especially when you don't know what you're getting for your money. It is a gamble at that point.
And I will like to say that the way they get around the gambling thing is like the WoW token. You can purchase the resource to make the roll, and they're like, oh, you can farm or like do your weeklies and your dailies to get the resources to do a roll, but that is a limited supply. Like in game, you can only earn so many of the resource to make a roll, and if you don't get what you want with the in-game resources, the only way you have of not or getting what you want is to put in money, because if you run out of the limited resource, guess what? You have no other way to get it in game. Therefore, you are locked, and the only thing that can get you the item you want is money. And so, like, a common practice for free to play is just like you need to sacrifice getting every character. If you want to play the game without spending any money, you just need to give up on the idea of having every character. And that, to me, as a philosophy, is the worst thing, because as a gamer, I know I'm one of the very few people, but 100%ing a game is an achievement. And if I can't 100% my character collection, that is going to feel real bad for me. But again, if I wanted to do that, I have to spend money. So it plays, and it's a worse like kind of collection system, because imagine you're playing Pokemon and you can't collect the Abra unless you pay $10. You've used all your Pokeballs for the day. You want additional Pokeballs, you got to pay $2.
And I was just gonna say, and that's the thing too, because they're controlling the progression of the game, and the only way you can progress in a timely manner is to pay money if you want to get through the game in a certain time. And you don't even really get through it because they add stuff too. Eventually, they have DLCs and updates and shit like that. So I just, yeah, that genre is very exploitive.
I think mobile games are in general.
I would have to really look at like the statistics on like how much like that affects kids. I would have to really look up, research it, and
it's hard to say though. I mean, we did bring up the time that guy.
Like, I'm gonna use WoW as an example. There's things called GDKP in WoW where you buy, and people buy gold just to be in there to get all the stuff right away. And it's a gamble because not all bosses don't drop the same loot, so you're spending money and while getting gold, but you're not gonna get the loot yet until it drops. Yeah, I could have went that route and just buy gold and just buy what I need or want. That would have been the easy way route.
Well, but in WoW though, the difference with WoW though is there are certain things you can't buy through a loot box. Like you have to do that instance. You have to fight that boss. Like there's other things that you can put on the market, buy off the market. You could make whatever, forge, whatever you want to do. But there's certain weapons, like the legendary weapons, like that.
He's gonna bring
the
up
mallet
something
that they used to use
Wrath.
for the paladins, huh?
You're gonna bring up something from Wrath.
No. But anyway, so like, you need to do those instances to get the materials. You gotta do that. You can't. There's no way to buy that. So WoW is different.
You could buy the mats and like the Wrath for the Shadowmourne. You have to buy shards. People buy shards in GDKP to get the shards. Like
but you can buy the shards, okay? But you still have to do instances, right? You still have to do the main dungeons to get certain things now.
Yeah, the whole GDKP system is a raid. You go through a raid.
Yeah, so basically you're buying mercenaries to do the dungeon for you. They will carry you through the entire dungeon, and you are buying the mats when they drop.
Because the thing is, buying on pickup, you can't just trade it or auction house it.
So are you getting like speed ran through it in a sense?
Not speed ran. It's just a raid. It's like if a normal guild raid, but not what you're just getting whatever the role system, whatever the system they use. That's This is using real gold. You're going gold to pay for the specific item of.
But the gold you make in game, you're talking about.
The gold you make in game. But people, don't do that. People buy gold to have it, to be spending it in GDKPs, where the gold is, once you buy everything, the gold, that's the profit at the end, gets spread, and then the host of it gets like a 10% cut of it.
I think that we talked about something like that in one of our episodes with WoW, and being one of the original games where people started buying gold, and then the concept came about like, oh, we could sell in-game currency because people right now are having people farm it for them, and they're willing to pay them to farm it for them.
Yeah. So I mean, like trading gold, the buying gold websites, they're still around. I mean, the people
there always will be
a whole big fan wave of gold buyers, but there's still ways around to get gold.
That's an example that the gacha game is just a step further than that. Like instead of having players do the farming and you buy from the players, instead you're just going, just like what WoW did, you're just going straight to the company. You're paying the company to get the resource you were going to need anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, the WoW token is a good example.
Basically, what WoW did when farmers started farming and making independent money for doing it, developer companies were like, oh, wait a minute, what about we just sell the
Blizzard
gold?
It was specifically Blizzard that thought
what about we just sell the gold to them and they pay us instead of these people farming it for them, and we lose out on that money. And then I guess in a sense that's the beginning of gacha games in a
I don't want to go that
let's say the concept.
Yeah,
obviously,
I mean,
gacha games are exploiting way more than a normal game.
I mean, I would say more like of lately, modern video games are more exploitative because you got battle passes and everything like that, and FOMO. They prey on FOMO a lot. So
yeah, but we discussed the difference between a battle pass too, because at least you know where you're getting when you pay for it, because you see everything you can unlock. You can decide if you don't want to buy that battle pass because maybe you don't like the legendary item at the end, so you don't have to buy it because you know what you're really getting. That's still not a gamble. That's not like gacha.
You like the game.
yeah. Oh, that because you want certain things. You want certain loot boxes. You want certain things, but you're not gambling at that point because you can see everything for the battle pass.
Yeah, like Apex. Apex, like they have it, shows everything, and you even though you spend money on it of the gold, you get some back actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you're almost like getting a discount. Basically.
And that's why like people are expecting battle passes to be able to pay either a portion and or itself completely back if you finish the battle pass. Just recently, I don't want to say recently because it was last year, but like Diablo got flack because the battle pass didn't even pay for the next one at all. It paid it cost $1,500, I believe, to get one battle pass, and it only gave you back 666. So that's even
zero.
It is better than zero.
Wow.
But I believe
set the bar high.
Yeah, I was about to say battle passes that give zero give good rewards. The cosmetics were trash in that battle pass, as well as the rewards. Like, not only do you not pay for yourself, but you give me trash.
Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about with League of Legends. Like, what's the point of their battle pass? It's just like honestly a waste of money. We've kind of touched on this before, but I just think that's what separates like a gacha game from like the games we play more often than not, because we see what we're getting when we buy our battle passes for whether you're playing Warzone, you're playing Fortnite, you're playing Apex, whatever game you're playing. Even if you talk about your MMOs, I'm sure in Final Fantasy 14, you buy something, you know what you're getting. It's not just loot boxes in Final Fantasy 14. You can buy that skin or whatever, right? That cosmetic, should I say?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, if it's not like a thing, it's not a drop or anything like that. Yeah, I would say that MMOs are already enough randomness that we don't need loot boxes because we have loot tables. Like, I already have to wait for a goddamn drop from a thing. I'm still needing to do mount farms, and
There's a lot
those
of
drop
percentages.
1% of the time.
Yeah, well, MMOs are different because it's different routes and different things.
Well, I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that's the difference between how gacha games are exploiting the dark patterns compared to the normal.
I mean,
more
like
relaxed
it's a more predatory way to
I didn't want to
do
say it
it.
like that. It just sounds bad when you say that.
It is bad. It's a bad thing.
I know, but it just sounds dirty.
Like, excuse me. Are you gonna say casinos are not like casinos are a fun place to be, but people have lost their livelihoods in casinos. Same thing with gacha games. People have gone homeless because of gacha games. So
it's a serious thing. Gambling is definitely serious, but it's not always those. Have you? No, I'll throw that out the side chat.
That's what I was saying before, though, about that it being like worse because like us with 12 years of league, there's people that spend that in a freaking week.
I got you. You don't need to repeat it. You don't need to. We know it's bad.
People may have the money.
They don't. They never do. So I think we've hit all our points that I wanted to talk about. Any sign off statements or anything like that you guys want to give off? No? All right. Quiet. No. They got nothing. They can't even say no. They're speechless.
Just don't spend money on that dumb stuff. Please.
Well, I will follow that up. If you like gacha games, please spend money responsibly. Please spend responsibly.
Yes, I agree.
Okay? Or just stay free to play.
That's better.
Yeah. With that being said, that is it from us. Well, for PTGC. We'll see you guys next time. Peace. Thank you for watching this episode of the Part-Time Gamers podcast. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And follow us on our other social platforms on TikTok, Instagram, and Discord. Links for those will be provided in the description. Thank you again. We will see you on the next episode of the podcast. And make sure you make some time for video games. Peace.